Welcome to Justice Unfiltered with a Second Chance Bail Bonds CEO Daniel Matalon, also a Second Chance Monitoring too. The fact that we get Daniel in off the road once in a while is utterly amazing. I'm telling you, this guy is on the road more than anybody I've ever met in my life. Chasing right now your daughter and equestrian and flying animals all over the world.
That's right.
That's what it seems
driving
like.
them, yeah.
Or driving them. There you go. Flying them or driving them, depending on
I'm not
which
driving
one.
them, but someone's driving
Exactly.
them. You don't want me doing that.
I'm glad you're here because today is a really special show. We're going to talk to Sonya Allen, the district attorney of Cobb County, first African-American woman to be elected district attorney, over 30 years of legal experience, and of course, deep roots in Cobb County, committed public servant, proud mama, which is the most important. I mean, that's, to me, District Attorney Allen, that's where it begins.
It is.
How much you love your family, because that's where, in my opinion, that's where everything spawns from. Doing things the right way spawns from doing things the right way for your kids, modeling that behavior, that example for your children.
That's right.
And I think that carries over into the job you do. It's impossible for it not to.
It is, and it's certainly your why for everything that you do. You know, you want things in a good position for your.
I'm going to slide this a little bit. Whoop, there we go.
You want things to be good for your daughter, you know.
Absolutely right. And especially in this world that we live in, and Daniel, you recognize it too, being in the business that you are. This world that we live in right now feels like madness all the time. There's not a moment where things look just like they're normal, like that the world is not going crazy, and there's that desire to shield all of, because we're all parents, our children from this, and whether it's through sports, or whether it's through schooling or your occupation, making a safer community for that daughter to grow up in, because it equally affects you and your family.
It does.
Yeah. So I love the fact that is the most important thing in your life. Comprehensive, legal, diverse experience and extensive knowledge of developing legal strategies for complex cases. And it seems we've had a few of those lately. Complex cases in the Atlanta area.
No shortage.
Yeah, and across the country.
But things are good right now, I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, I feel good about it, too. Just trending in the right direction, hopefully. Graduate of the University of West Georgia, John Marshall Law School, Deputy District Attorney in Fulton County, the Anti-Corruption Division, 30-year veteran of the Cobb Sheriff's Office. Is there anything in the legal field that you ain't done?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
We met back in 2006 when I was a kid.
I was a kid too.
And we were both kids coming into Cobb County.
Yeah.
Or I was coming into Cobb County. She was already there.
You're already established in Cobb County.
She was already in charge. I was,
well, walk
young
me through
kid
that.
coming in.
Walk me through that. What does that look like? Is it a chance encounter? Was it set up?
She was at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office when I had applied to do business in Cobb County back in 2006. Well, we were approved in the beginning of 07, but 06 was when it all started.
It's one of those constitutional duties that the Sheriff's Office has when it comes to bonding companies. So,
yeah.
all the paperwork goes through the Sheriff's Office.
Right, so we crossed paths during that time, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah, no question about it. And things have progressed both successfully at a second chance and obviously, D.A. Allen, in your line of work. What was it about Daniel? Was there anything that stood out to you about Daniel? Was like, he's the right guy for us to work with in Cobb County?
Well, actually, just his participation in with the community and the work that he does. I've seen a lot of the work that he's been doing lately, you know, through the Sheriff's Office and with some of the other elected officials in their offices. So that's how I first came back around to Daniel, was through his work in the community.
Yeah, and what were some of those things, Daniel?
God, I mean, so which county do you want to start in, right? So
well, might as well Cobb.
All the job fairs. I mean, you know, look, a big challenge out here that we see from the side that we're on is a lot of people struggling to get jobs once there's a case pending, right? And I can't tell you how many people are out there struggling with that. So we've tried to help people, at least guide them or give them the right direction to go get the resources that they need, because that is a real thing. Because if you get out and you can't work, then how do you provide for your family? How do you take care of yourself, much less anybody else?
Yeah,
right?
it's impossible.
So like I like to try and help anything in the community or anything like that. But some of this stuff is specific to what we're doing, and we see it with a lot of people. So
well, I would imagine, D.A. Allen, that the families are deeply affected, because we started the conversation with how important families is, or how important families are. I would imagine helping families as much as you help the person that needs your help through a second chance. Helping those families is probably a huge obstacle to getting someone back on the right track or keeping a family on the right track.
That's right. So with our office and this administration, part of what has taken on a critical role for us is just being victim-centered and focusing on the victim. They are the nucleus of why we do everything that we do. They are the reason it starts, with the basic law enforcement officer going out on a scene. It's because there's a victim somewhere that's in the middle of some issue. So they're at their worst state. No one likes to even imagine how they would be during a crime, but if a crime occurred to them, but they're in their pretty worst state, like vulnerable. And so that's why I feel it's important for our office to really, take the time to be with them every step of the process, letting them know that we're here, that we're going to get them through to the end goal. We have a family justice center. We have victim witness advocates in our office that are doing amazing things, and all of that is in hopes to guide the victims and their families. Sometimes even though you have a victim, you have a family behind that victim that is also suffering as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times victims are not in the same capacity or state that they were before the crime occurred.
The ripple effect. What happens is, and I can only speak to this because I've actually been in this situation, and it's. You're right. It is a ripple effect that touches so many more people than the obvious, which is the people that were involved in the case or whatever the case is. It just has a way of doing it, and that's what I think really the people really out there really don't fully understand. And sometimes you don't understand until you go through it yourself, and you're like, wow, and the impact hits you, and you're like, that's incredible.
I want to ask you about, because it's so clear and so obvious that the person that's been a victim of a crime, you want to shield them, you want to protect them, you want to help them. That's what your office is all about, and that's what the justice community is all about. But there is the other side of the coin, and as bad as people get, and as mad as people get, even the perpetrator has rights that have to be protected.
That's correct.
And that's something that's easy to just push aside. And it's like, I don't care about that. They did this. I don't care. And we can't look at it that way. It's easy to do. And it's easy to fall into that trap. But that's something that you have to head up. You have to convince people of that.
That's true. That's what the justice system is about. The prosecution, we have a heavy burden. We have a standard that is high for us, and so making sure that we do things right, ethically, morally, we have to be fair to the defendant and also be there for our victims. And not all defendants really are people who just want to go out and do bad in the world. Some people are just having a hard time. Some people just need help, and when we recognize that, we do have things in our office that we can kind of guide them through on that route as well. We have accountability courts. We have our pretrial diversion that we have totally renovated here in Cobb and done a new way of service for our pretrial diversion as well.
Oftentimes, Daniel, people who have broken the law, someone is looking for the horns and the tail. Because, to your point, and it's not always that. I'm not, and I'm not saying that behavior should be excused. I would never say that. But at the same time, it's easy to be looking for that, and then you just see a regular person that has done something, maybe drastic, maybe not, but done something.
Well, you have to figure out. Look, they have to iron it out. The truth, they have to figure out what is the truth, right? Because we all know it's not going to be what either side says.
Lots of gray area.
So it's a tough job. I don't know if I could do it.
How do you do it, DA? How are you able to take all of this?
It's a lot.
I'm like Daniel. I don't know that I would want to be in that position, and I admire that you're willing to take on a position like that, because you got slings and arrows coming from every which way, right?
Yeah.
The victim's family is mad or hurt or both. And then the family of the perpetrator, the person that is accused of this crime, is going, I want them to have the best defense that they could possibly have, and that's what they're owed in the United States of America. So the fact that you're willing to shoulder that with people coming at you from all sides.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, it just comes back to having that servant heart. I mean, you gotta believe in what you do and want to do what you do. It's not about money. It's not about a title. It's about just doing the work and loving your community and always having that heart that wants to help people. So
it is. It's not easily found though. That sounds great, right? And you're living it, but I don't know that everybody has that.
Everybody doesn't.
You know what I mean?
They definitely do not.
But it seems. But when I say it out loud, it seems like common sense. But I don't know that everybody digests it the way that, at least that we're discussing it here.
Yeah, they don't. And like I said, and you got to find that person. It's true in law enforcement as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that people go through in order to get a job in law enforcement, and all those things are kind of pointing to the thing that you need to see, and that's what's in their heart.
That servant heart. We talk about it a lot here on Justice Unfiltered. We talk about it a lot on this radio station on Extra 106.3. And when we continue, I want to get into the Family Justice Center as we talk to District Attorney Sonya Allen from Cobb County here on Extra 106.3. Welcome back to Justice Unfiltered with Daniel Matalon, the CEO of a Second Chance Bail Bonds and a Second Chance Monitoring. My name is Tug Cowart from Extra 106.3. Our guest, District Attorney Sonya Allen, elected to Cobb County's District Attorney position, 30 years of legal experience, and has deep roots here in Cobb County. When you say deep roots, born and raised here in Cobb County?
I wasn't born and raised here, but I have lived here since I was going into 5th grade. I was at Bells Ferry Elementary School.
That's been a minute. Hey, let me tell you, there's people that driving down the road right now. It's driving right by Bells Ferry Elementary. Know exactly what you're talking about. So that's great. Just having a connection to the community and loving the community that you live in.
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. My daughter was born here, and she's attended schools here. We participated in, sports, everything here in Cobb County.
Gosh, it's so much fun, ain't it? There's nothing better than I know Daniel can speak.
I live in Cobb County,
and you're living the sports thing with your daughter too, and my son's a college baseball player, so we all have that connection. We all have that in common. And I've learned in life that it doesn't take a whole lot to figure out what you have in common with people. Now, there's people not willing to do that. But that's the thing that I feel like that we do on this show, just a conversation at a time, uncovering those commonalities and finding where we have common ground and using that to improve our communities. And I know you've been dedicated to that for 30 years in the legal world. But I want to talk about the Family Justice Center, because I know that's something that is near and dear to your heart, and I want you to let people listening know what it is, how it started, why it's important, just the whole picture. So when they leave this conversation, they'll know what that is and is all about. Okay.
Well, the Family Justice Center for us, when we came into office, we first changed the name. It was originally called the Family Advocacy Center. And so, I talked to judges, and, I really want people to be behind the facility. And people who are in the legal community can't really advocate for people. So you have to do a name that's going to be conducive for what you're asking people to do.
Right.
So I changed the name to the Family Justice Center, but we added a name to it, the Redbud Blossom Center. So the Redbud Blossom Center came to us because of the redbud tree. It's one of those trees that's just impossible to kill. It grows.
It grows no matter what. It's the
blooms,
toughest.
It has a beautiful bloom, and it's always there. And so that's what we want to look at our survivors and victims of crime as, people who are going to bloom. There's hope. We've partnered with Marcy's Law Group, and we put a mural in the Family Justice Center. When you first walk in, it's a mural that says "Hope lives here." It's got a hummingbird, which is also a symbol of hope. It's got some of the redbud blossoms mixed in the mural. So that is clearly our message when someone walks in the door, someone who's at their worst state, in the worst time of their life. They will walk in and they get to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there's hope. And so we actually refer to our victims and survivors as hope seekers. So they'll come in.
I want to be that every day.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to. I think most people do, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Finish the thought. Hope is something that I think everybody leans on every day.
Yeah. And so when they come in, they get to speak to someone and they get to talk about, what's happening. They can either report, that a crime has occurred or that they're a victim of some type of abuse. And we have navigators in the facility that will help decide and determine what kind of services they need, and we can make referrals from there. Our hope is to partner with as many of the nonprofits that are out there so that it becomes maybe a one-stop shop, so you don't have to bring someone in and send them to other places. They can come there and seek out all of the assistance and needs that they have right there in that one facility.
So important, especially if you're in a tough situation, because that's the last thing that's on your mind. Your goal is to get better, or whatever it is that is going on in your life. You want that to improve. So having everything in one place has to be, just a blessing to someone who would come to the Red Bud Blossom Family Justice Center. Is when people come there, is it because they've been through the legal system, or is it somebody can just come because I need help?
Both.
Okay.
We have people who are they've filed a police report and now they need services, or we have people that an act has happened to them and they show up and they're outside and we'll ask them, what do they need, and they say, I need help. I've just been attacked, or and we will get them the services that they need. It's very important that we partner with our nonprofits, and that is key, and it's critical for our facility. A lot of it's grant sponsored, but the work that our partners do is just truly special. We're not there to take over what they do, but we're there to bring us all together and under one roof, so to speak.
And I would imagine, and Dan, you would probably know this number too. I'm ignorant to it, so you'll have to help me understand it, but I feel like it's probably a big number. You said something there when people come in and just say, hey, I've had this happen to me, and it's not been reported. Mm-hmm. I bet that number is probably very large, the number of crimes that don't get reported.
Oh, percentage-wise, people have their own reason for why they don't want to report.
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, the numbers, I hear about it all the time. I mean, dude, hell, I've been places. I mean, look, you got to know what the process is. If it's going to take me 4 hours, okay, I've had my car broken into and it took 3 hours for the police to show up to get to the car. I'm not blaming the police. It's just all kinds of reasons. God only knows why. That's not important. What matters is who has 3 hours to wait. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like there's so many people. And I guess that's what my point is, that there's a place like this that when people are like, I don't have the 3 hours. I need help right now, and I know where to go. And that's what you're providing the community.
And we're trying to push that message out. Every time you see us out, we'll have things that talk about the Family Justice Center and Red Bud Blossom. We really want to increase the partnerships that we have. We're making new partners. We're Girls Inc. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they do a lot of work with after-school programs with young girls. We're trying to connect with different people and have them in our facility. We are still, to me, there's so much more work to do. We're just starting. I want our numbers to grow. I really want our facility to be that facility that people know, and really trying to work even with Cobb County to ensure that there's means of travel. We get calls and people are in different places and they can't even get to us. We've been really trying to, that's one of our struggles, is trying to figure out a way to, I don't know if it takes a corporate account somewhere with a Uber or a Lyft, but
or a big old Amex.
Hey, listen, I'm in the same boat. I got the same problem. I need people to get to court too. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah, no, right, because if they don't go, then I'm on the hook. So it's a transportation's a real thing.
Or if you have
especially in the city of Atlanta, where it's tough getting anywhere anytime because traffic's so bad.
Right, or someone who's just trying to escape. They run out of the house and they don't have a car.
Oh my heavens!
So
it's another.
Just saying that aloud is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But that people struggle with this, that people really face this. That sounds like something on TV, not in Atlanta, Georgia, because we.
Well,
Cobb County,
I think awareness is probably the biggest thing that we've learned, because a lot of people that we come in contact with are like, oh, well, we didn't know, or, so the messaging and creating awareness, I think, I tell people, I know it sounds like it's not really exciting, but that's what it is, because people just don't know.
Right.
And getting the word out, which is what
this
is what Justice Unfiltered is all about, and that's the reason we have District Attorney Sonya Allen with us to talk about these things, because getting people there is unbelievable, and that's just the starting block. That's where everything begins. And if there's a challenge in the beginning, can you imagine what the challenges are ahead? It just seems like they get bigger and bigger, and then every age group. From the youngest. Just the amount of people that you encounter. I just pulled up the website, and you see all these, beautiful children and smiling faces. And that's awesome that you've gotten those kids to that point, but where they're starting from is not smiling.
Right.
That's the thing I think I want to convey to people so much, is that if you can help out in any way, volunteering, I bet that's a big deal. So
that's a good point. We have victim witness advocates that obviously work at the Family Justice Center, but we also we just did our first academy. We did a victim witness academy where we taught people how to be victim witness advocates so that they could help our office in a volunteer state. We have, you can imagine, with the 6,000 plus cases that we have, and every case at least having just one victim, how many advocates that technically would.
Well, you at least need 6,000.
Right. So,
and I'm sure you don't have that many.
We don't. And so having that academy was, to me, it was very rewarding, because what ended up happening, we had people who were victims, their sons, their daughters have been murdered here in Cobb, and they have, it's therapy for them to come and be immersed in what victim witness advocates do. And it helps them process their situation still. And they graduated. We'll have a different level of a class every year that'll go through. They had cords that they got when they graduated.
That's cool.
And they were very excited. So now what they can do now is take their services and go back to, say, Redbud Blossom. And on the nights that we have our social work or counseling sessions, we call them voices, they can be there and they can be present and really help in that way.
Let's say someone has that tug at their heart. They're listening right now, and they're like, how do I do that? How do they do that? They
will just go on. We have email address, which I will get for you. CobbDA at Gmail.
We're gonna hang on. Write it down. Well, the website too, though, right?
Yeah, they can go on the website, either website, the District Attorney website or the Family Justice Center website, and that's Rosebud Blossom FJC.org. Redbud Blossom.
What did I say? Rose. I'm sorry. Red. Yes. Redbud Blossom. FJC.org. So that would be the way to get there. And then Redbud Blossom, is this the email address as well?
Just go to the website.
Okay. If you go to the website, contact us. There's a whole page. That's the easiest way to go. Now we go. Now we go. Redbud Blossom. FJC.org, Redbud Blossom, FJC.org. I want to make sure it was clear, because I stumbled and stammered around a little bit. Those people are listening going, hey, who is this hillbilly talking on here that can't get the name of the website right, which happens with regularity. Is there anything, because I want to get to the Jerry Lee Pruitt case and the fact that it was solved and how it was done, but before we switch to that, is there anything that you're most proud of? Is there one particular case? Is there one particular family or one particular person that you think represents what y'all do best?
Well, I know there's so many.
There's so many. Could you just pull one, maybe?
Yeah, to me, we had that elder abuse case that we just did, and to me, that could impact so many people.
Is this the Gary Williams case?
It is.
Okay, let's talk about that, and then we'll go back to the other case.
Okay, so that case is a case that was just, it was a very hard case. It was a very, very hard case, and the prosecutor in that case, Patricia Hull, did such an amazing job with laying that case out, and that case had the potential of when you have someone who's elderly and he's been married to someone for so long, but then they stop caring for that person. Imagine that. Imagine you've been married, you have a stroke, and you're unable to care for yourself, and the one person that
you've been relying on.
You've been relying on your whole time that you've been married, that you think loves you, is the one person that had you live in
squalor. Worse.
For the last few years of your life.
It's unreal.
So laying that case out was very hard. It was one of those cases that was so gruesome that you had to be careful with how much you showed, because people don't like to know that there's evil in the world like that. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
You're 100% correct. They would rather bury their head in the sand.
And that was one of those cases where you had to be delicate with how you presented, the information in the case, and then, and it just didn't make sense. So you had to be careful not to make, an excuse for why he did what he did, because who would do what he did? He left her in her own filth on a bed that she couldn't get off of. She was covered in lesions and sores. Her hair was matted to the extent that it couldn't be combed anymore. She didn't eat. Her toenails were at least 2 or 3 inches long, and underneath the nails was just her own waist. Everything was just covered, and she laid there, and she actually fell off the bed at one point, and she laid on the floor. But she journaled a lot. She had the use of one of her hands, and she journaled a lot. And just reading through her journal, I mean, he referred to her as the germ in his life. And she knew that that's the way that the one person who was supposed to love her forever referred to her. There were times where he left her on the toilet. He had taken her, to use the restroom, and he left her there. She would write about it. She sat there for hours to where, there was numbness. She passed clots just sitting there on the toilet. And ultimately, she passed away from the injuries that she had with the sepsis in her blood. He interviewed with the police. Watching the interview, he chuckles, he giggles. He talks about, how he put her hair up in a beautiful clip. It was just, there's no way.
It's almost like you have to be delusional.
But he wasn't. The rest of how he lived was normal. His house, they had a nice house. The rest of the house was immaculate.
So bizarre.
His closet was pristine. His shoes were lined up.
This is me speculating, so please forgive me. Is there something in your mind that says, this is so bad, I have to make the rest of it look a particular way? It almost seems like there's some sort of mental...
But I don't know, or is it just so bad that it's so obvious?
He wasn't nice to her. He didn't make her feel he spoke to her in ways that made her feel
but that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
What do you call it? It's a social. Well, what is that? What do you call that?
I think that's what I'm asking.
What is someone when? What
you
is
have
evil.
no idea. Evil.
Yes,
that's right.
Evil.
Well, yeah, what else do you call it?
Yeah,
Who could do that?
That's something.
Yeah, no,
there's a term for whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it seems like. I don't know. It just seemed like that one part of his life was so evil.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about the rest of the house being immaculate, it's almost like you're doing something, I don't know what that is, trying to trick yourself into believing that everything's okay. I don't know what it is. That's why when I hear it, it almost seems like there's something else going on.
Well, and to me, the important part of what that case represents was just for people to, when you start suspecting, like if you're a child and you haven't seen your mom or you're a friend, and when you call, you can't get that person on the phone, you end up having to talk to the husband. When you start thinking like, it's been a minute, pay attention to that and act on it.
These are two completely different things, but the gut instinct is what I'm going off of, because I think that's what you're talking about. When your gut tells you something's wrong, something probably is. A friend of mine, there was just something, I saw both of their social media, and all of a sudden, it just came to me. I was like, I don't see each of them in each of their social media.
Right.
Something has to be going on. Then I finally reach out, like you're encouraging people to do. And then I got the real stories like, yeah, there's some trouble. It's just not, things are not great right now. When your gut tells you, trust your gut, trust your eyes and your ears. I think that's I think it's so obvious that people need to do it. But are people afraid they're going to cause trouble that is unneeded or unnecessary, and that's the reason they're not trusting themselves, do you think?
I don't know. I think people do get that feeling, but when it's maybe a relative, I don't think you should hold back.
But that's like the most common thing. It's people they know or someone that's been in the inner circle that, a lot of times that are wreaking havoc on.
If I don't live in this state and my mom is here and it's taking time for me to get to be able to talk to my mom. Yeah. At some point, it's not going to matter to me whose feelings I hurt.
I'm going to kick down the door.
Yeah, you're on the plane. Yeah, you're there. Yeah, yeah.
And then there is a number that you can call to report abuse with elder persons or adults with disabilities, and it is 866-55-AGING. 866-55-AGING. And obviously 911 if something is going on immediately. It needs, that there's somebody, we need the police out quickly or we need an ambulance out quickly.
Right.
But that is a way.
I mean, even neighbors, neighbors know.
Yes, ma'am.
Patterns. I mean, if it's like if you haven't seen someone leave the house in a week.
Or haven't seen them there.
Or even seen the face pop up.
And occasionally you see the car coming in. Like, again, I'm just using my life experience. We have neighbors right now that we know something's happening, and I won't go into it, but you just know that there is a separation of sorts. and we just happen to be, because my wife and I like to sit on the front porch. It's just what we do,
That's what you do.
In the evening, wind down, sit on the front porch, swinging the rocker.
And that is important, to sit on the front porch.
You should be able
and
to.
wind
It's
down.
your house.
Because the stuff that you deal with daily, especially for like where I am,
yes, ma'am,
it is important that people decompress.
And what a better place! I can't think of it. It's my favorite.
And your home should be your sanctuary.
Absolutely right. Sure. And with this, this case, the one we're talking about, the Gary Williams case.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
And I'm going to pull a quote from you, D.A. Allen, and I think it's so good. This was not a case about how she died. It was about how she was forced to live.
That's right.
That's a powerful statement. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those, as soon as you hear it, it stirs your brain. You can't look by that. And
that does define. I mean, that explains.
It's so descriptive.
Right, it's descriptive.
So descriptive.
It explains.
And I'm glad that y'all were able to get this taken care of as we close the segment. Is there anything else before we wind down the segment? Anything else you wanted to talk about the Family Justice Center or even this case?
Just our chaplain program. That's what brought this to mind. Our chaplain program is not just for our victims and the people that we come in contact with, but it is also for our office. When we decided to do this program, we brought people from our office forward in front of such a large room of all of our local pastors that we invited all of these pastors throughout all of Cobb County, every denomination, every faith, and we had our staff talk to them about what happens to them from doing this job. You have people that have to look at awful pictures. You have people that have to do these tough interviews with little children. You have people who don't get a guilty verdict and they feel like they've let the family down, and the father will blame you, or we had one prosecutor who was able to convince someone to help testify in a case, and right after there was a guilty, thought life was great, the person that spoke in trial was shot and murdered.
Oh my heavens.
And she lives with that. So there are a lot of things that prosecutors, our victim witness advocates, our admins, even our investigators that they go through that, I know Cobb County has a good program with EPA, but, a lot of times people don't want to talk to people where there's a record, of it, if they're going to be talking about how they feel personally.
Sure.
And
because you feel like it's going to be held against you.
Right. And
in
so
some shape, form, or fashion.
This is a program that will allow them, they don't report to me anything, they just have open access to.
Let's continue with that because I feel like there's more to that, and I think that's great because I can only imagine the PTSD that these people deal with on a daily basis. Our public servants are dealing with, and you hit on it, just the things you see and the things that you have to discuss, and how heavy it is. So we'll continue with that, the chaplain program, and then I want to get to the Jerry Lee Pruitt case that was solved, and how it was done, and why it matters. We'll talk about it next on Justice Unfiltered here on Extra 106.3. Welcome back to Justice Unfiltered on Extra 106.3. My name is Tug Coward, along with Daniel Matalon. He is the CEO of A Second Chance Bail Bonds and A Second Chance Monitoring. Our wonderful guest today, District Attorney Sonya Allen of Cobb County. And the discussion has been all over the board, but I want to go back to, well, it's just because there's so much. You handle so much. You're involved with so much. I want to go back to the chaplain program, and you laid it out for us about what that is and why it's important. I don't think people, and we talk about it here, obviously, Daniel, we talk about it a lot, the things that our public servants encounter and don't have a place to decompress, don't have a place to talk about it, that they feel comfortable. And sometimes they go home and the last thing they want to talk about with their family is the whatever it was that they saw that day.
Right.
The PTSD that our public servants have to endure seems like it would be on the scale of the military, to be honest. And I'm a Navy veteran, and I believe that.
It is. Just from being in law enforcement, 30 years of law enforcement, and then coming into a role with the district attorney's office, I mean, it's still dealing with the same issues and the same things. I mean,
and you have to be able to process it, Daniel. That's the thing that most people don't or are not used to, haven't been taught to, not comfortable with processing these things. Yep. And that's why this chaplain program is so valuable.
Yeah, you have to have an out. There's got to be, because
there's got to be a release valve.
There has to be a release valve, or
it will explode.
I mean, even something as small as, I've had 2 pastors come to the office and just pray over me and leave, and I can't tell you how much better I felt. I felt lifted, and
yes, ma'am.
I think it's just very important for them to have the access.
So valuable. Yeah. Let's get into the Jerry Lee Pruitt case. Y'all solved this, but you did it using something that was used for the first time, is my understanding.
So you're speaking about SAKI. It's an initiative that came about through the federal government, and we work with partners, our CJCC. We work with them. We work together with other partners. We have DeKalb County and Cobb County and PAC, which is the Prosecuting Attorneys Council. We all are involved in an initiative. They found where we had an excess number of sexual assault kits that had never been tested. And so this initiative came in, provided money, grants, so that we could have these kits tested. And we got hits on certain DNA and certain old cases that we've had that we had no leads on. You may have had a portion of a hit on something, but you didn't have anything to compare it to. And so when one of the kits gets tested, there's a comparison made, and you can start then trying to figure out who these suspects are in these cases.
And you were able to do that?
We were.
Successfully?
Yes. This case is the first case in Cobb County where we had a test kit that came back, and we were able to work the case up, and we were able to go through a trial and have a guilty verdict. So
I feel like they write TV shows like Cold Case about this, because this was 28 years after the fact.
It was, and it was a heartbreaking case.
Oh my! I'm reading some of and it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I don't even want to say what it does. All of it. If you want to, if you're
disturbing.com is what that is.
No question. If you want to know about it, you can go back and look it up, and you'll find the information you need to. I just don't think it's important to share right now. Just know it was really, really bad. And you're able to go back and use this to get it solved.
We have a special, so that initiative with the grants, it allows us to have an investigator, a prosecutor. It allows us to have people who are solely dedicated to working on those cases. And so that is in our office. We have Dr. Burke. She's an investigator, so I call her Dr. Investigator Burke. And then also our ADA, Julie and Jordan. They worked very diligently. They worked very hard on that case. They were able to find other victims of this same defendant, bring them in to testify in the trial. So not only was he on trial for the victim here in Cobb, but there were 3 other victims that they had to, go out of state, interview them, and bring them here for our trial. And they got to talk about how no one was able to physically identify him because he covered their heads, but the pattern, the method that he committed this crime was we used the word eerily exact and similar, that that pattern of behavior, when they testified about it, it helped in convicting him.
I know nothing about the legal world, but I've watched a bunch of documentaries about serial killers, strangely enough. And it seems like there's always that, right? There's always that pattern. Do you feel like there was leaving the trail like they do sometimes? Like, I want to be famous because of this, as horrendous as it is. But it's almost like they're like, I want to be found so I can get this notoriety. I mean, it's insane.
Oh, no.
With this person, I don't know that he had gotten to that point where he was ready to be found, but he did have a pattern. He picked apartments that were either on the first or the second level. There were sliding glass doors that faced the wooded area, and he always covered their head, like he would catch. So obviously he was watching them, and then before he would leave, there was an element of making them clean themselves and wash before he left.
Unbelievable. Knowing that you deal with things like this,
that's a lot.
I know getting away from it is so very important. Spending time with family and your daughter and those sorts of things. How do you escape? How do you turn it off? What do you do for enjoyment when you can? And I know the schedule is probably, I bet your phone doesn't stop buzzing or ringing. I bet it is constant from the office to the cell phone. But when you can.
So for me, 2 things. One, we do have a comfort dog. So I love when our dogs come through.
That's a good day right there. Anytime I pet a dog, it's a good day.
We have Rose, who had been there with the previous administration. That obviously everyone loves Rose. But now we have Justice and Lexi. They're sheepadoodle puppies. They're 6 months old. They're huge. They're fluffy. They're happy. And so for even just 2 or 3 minutes of the day, you can just pet a dog. I mean, it makes my day. Other things that I do, I'm kind of artsy. I make jewelry.
Did you make that?
Yeah.
The bracelet she's wearing, so cool.
I do that. And I'm a judge for high school sports in Georgia for senior sports.
In gymnastics, I'm reading.
Yeah, gymnastics.
That's so cool.
I judge gymnastics. So when you judge gymnastics, you cannot take your eye off of the routine. You'll miss something.
Sure.
And so for that moment, there's no phone. There's no me looking away. There's no me thinking about anything.
Laser focused.
So I'm focused, and it. People say, I can't believe you do that, because we drive all over the state of Georgia for that.
Oh my heavens!
But I love it, and
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Have you seen people in competition go on to the next level, whether college or the Olympics? Have you seen that up close?
I have. My daughter, she did gymnastics.
Oh, that's
as well. So for Gymnastics Academy of Atlanta here in Cobb, she started there when she was 6 years old and went all the way up through high school. But on her team, so they have junior Olympic teams.
Yeah.
And they have different levels, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But a lot of the elite levels, the 9 and 10s, there was a girl at her school that actually made it to the Olympic team. While we were there. So that was fun to follow.
That's so cool. Yeah.
She traveled and went to all the meets that were over in France and all over the place. So, yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you for what you do for Cobb County.
Thank you.
It takes a special person, and you're clearly that. So we're really grateful for you and the service that you provide and the things you do in the community. And thank you for coming here to share it with us.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that, I'm blessed by having the people that I have in my office.
Oh, I'm sure.
We brought some people in, and then we have some people that are still here. And I think it's just the perfect blend at this point. And I love everybody in the office, and they work so hard every day. They don't get good pay for it, but what they do comes from their heart, and so I just want to do a shout out to the office and
There
the
you
work
go.
that they do.
Little country
Cobb
call out.
County DA's office.
I
There
love
you go.
it. Absolutely right. Good folks helping good folks. What it sounds like to me.
Absolutely.
Daniel, of course, thank you for giving us the ability to do Justice Unfiltered, man. Hope you have a great weekend.
Likewise.